Um, and so what, first of all, I think we should say Chit and I are really not going, we're not really experts on coffee, right? So we're not really going to be able to tell you what the best coffee is. Plus, that is very much a personal taste. Those of you that like strong coffee, weak coffee, etc. So this is going to be, it's very much just about impressions, right? It's where we go, we go to one place, we go just once, we look around, we see what they got. We sometimes wander around the neighborhood to see what's there because, part of the reason to do this is because we're going to places, we've never been to. So first, I think everyone here kind of knows me, right? So I'm the Associate Dean in CCPS, and I came to Grand Rapids in 1999. I came from Cleveland, and although I've been here for quite a while, there are many places like Cedar Springs and Coopersville and Bailey and Plainwell that I have never been to, right? I've heard them, I've had students from there, right? But I had never been there. So part of this, allowed me to go out and see some of these places that my students, talked about. And in my class, actually, it's that one of their assignments was doing community profiles. So I'd even heard about details about some of these places, but not been here. So Chit, I'll let him introduce myself. And some of you may remember he may have been like 3 or 4 years ago in your offices fixing your computer. But anyway, so if he looks familiar, that's so Chit, go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Chit Zin Win. I got to Grand Valley in 2015. I came from Burma and I studied in computer science. And I ended up staying at Professor Merck's basement so, to be financially more flexible there. And I work on campus part time as a IT consultant for faculties and staffs. And from there, I move on taking my graduate program in data science analytics. And it's really we got I'm since I'm an international student, so a lot of people go vacation and stuff. So we took from there in my final year in my undergrad program. We try to find some kind of outlet to excitement at the end of the week, and we started doing that tradition of the coffee and donut.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and there we put online, or I put online 2 applications, because although I should say this, we went out, this wasn't so much a plan. It started, we didn't do social media, right? We weren't tweeting or Facebooking every place we went, right? This was purely, we were just doing it. We rarely even took a picture. Every once in a while we took a picture, but not too often. But did keep track of where we went, and actually Google helps with that. And because it'll tell you everywhere you went if you brought your phone, right? I don't know if you know that, but it knows everywhere you've ever been. So so a record of does exist. And then I turned it, and because I wanted to practice with some very simple mapping programs, although I teach GIS for my undergrads, they certainly weren't going to learn how to use an Esri product in the time frame that I had. So I wanted to see what was available online that would be fun. So the one I'm going to use is StoryMap. The other one is Google My Maps, and if you go to the webpage, both of them are there. But StoryMap has pictures. You could add pictures, so that's why we're going to use that one to go explore. So let me try to share my screen, which I think I'm doing. Yes.
Yes, we can see.
Yes. Okay. So this is Story Map, but not the one actually I want. I want this version. Yes. Okay. So it's not a very good, it puts all these icons here, and this is good, much better, if you have fewer places and they're in a smaller area, but still, I'm going to work with it. This, by the way, okay, can you explain this, Chit? Go ahead. The jar.
So you make a research about all these locals nearby a coffee shop and donut, and he put it as a kind of lucky draw to put in the jar. So in the morning, every Saturday morning, when I was there or when I move out, I went back there and pick up one token from there, and then we decide to go based on the season, weather, and the mood we have. Sometimes I reshuffle and pick up again if we're not in the mood of going too far. So that's how
So
we go.
if he cheated, if he didn't like the pick, he would put it back and pick another one. But this is the idea, to randomize it, and all the places that we might visit were put into the jar. So that's how it was picked. And of course, we didn't start out that way. It started, we would have to find the place, and we realized it was taking too long, to go and try to Google and find where we were going to go. So this was then to facilitate a quick decision on where to go. You pick when you got the address, you go out to the car, put it into the GPS, and you go. So
but as you find out new one, you just keep adding to the jars again.
yes, and you keep, and amazingly, I thought we would run out somewhere around 50, but we just kept going and going. And if it wasn't for the fact of COVID coming and Chit buying a house and having a kid, which also, diminishes his free Saturday mornings, we could have gone and could keep going. But at least for now, we're on hiatus, at least until, the COVID cleans up and he has all the rehabbing of his house he wants to do. He'll eventually tire of that, I'm sure. But anyway, so we're going to start out with the very first place we went, and this was just on a whim. I was picking Chit up, and he had a medical appointment, and nothing serious, but he was, not feeling so good, so he wanted to go, and he said he wanted some donuts. So we went to the nearby Sandy's, which is on Leonard Street. So had coffee and donuts there. What do you remember about their, Chit? Anything you want to say?
You have a leftover that you brought to your class.
Oh yeah.
I knew that really struck me as a comfort food. So yeah, I never been as a first-hand experience to get there. That's why I requested you to bring me there, and then we went there. And one morning, I mean, by far, that was the best donut in Grand Rapids. It's also local.
Okay. So yes, my class, when I would teach Saturday classes, which would start in the morning, I would bring my class donuts, and there would be leftover donuts. So then when Chit was renting from me at the time, so he would get the leftover donuts from Sandy. So that's how he knew that was a place to go. And then the next week, there was a decision to do it again, but instead of going to Sandy's, I think it had to do, maybe we were going to go to one of the Asian supermarkets or something, which are all in the southern part of Grand Rapids in Wyoming and Kentwood. So we wound up going to Margie's Donut Den on 28th Street, which is another very popular donut place. And this was actually quite a surprise. I mean, in terms of, I had been there before as a donut shop, but Chit, what was going on there?
All this kind of entertainment and piano playing. A majority of the customers are senior and who come and chill on the weekend. So they have some kind of instrument and some entertainment corner there. Yeah,
So,
it's more family oriented, so a lot of kids.
a lot of kids with their grandparents or something. But the thing was, there was a piano player. I mean, you do not expect to go for coffee and donuts and then have a piano player, and that you could see the big room right there, right, so it's a very big donut shop. So that sort of said, hey, maybe there's stuff going on that, we should be checking out, what I mean? Because if just by coincidence we found that, so, So then the next week, the third week, and by the way, we won't be doing this in order. It's only the first three to sort of get. We went to Donut Conspiracy, which I think might be one of the victims of COVID-19, because they were up to 3 branches and I think 2 closed. And then I think someone told me that even this first one now is closed. But the Donut Conspiracy was a gourmet donut shop. So this is a little bit different than the first 2, right? You pay twice as much for the donuts. And if you're familiar with a gourmet donut, typically they're a fried cake with all with very odd toppings, right? And the more exotic the topping, the better. But this was also Chit's first experience with overpaying, right? So you'll get to he has certain standards, and he doesn't want to pay too much for his donuts and coffee.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a new way of marketing with all social media, attracting young people, and it's part of the experience. So instead of you go there just for the donut, you just try to get how they let you see how you set up, right? It's not just you just all pick up from the cabinet and from the shelf right out. They show something that from the back they pull it out and they show in a picture, and they also have a certain kind of theme, like I don't know exactly how to call it. It's like some item there, rusty item, and to attract the young people and feel it is a new norm to pay that donut that much.
And gourmet donuts have not been a big thing in Grand Rapids. I mean, some of you might remember Propaganda Donuts, which we did not get to. I think it was closed before we started doing this. And then there was Darts, which we'll get to in a minute, which also closed. So Conspiracy was pretty much it. And if it's closed now, the only place that I think would qualify as your gourmet donut shop is Bros Doughs, which is on 5 Mile Road in the shopping center there. I don't remember what the name of that shopping center is, but Bros Doughs, they do mini donuts, and it's sort of like a Subway setup. You go and you get the toppings, and they put the toppings on the donuts, while you're standing there watching them, right? So from the picture, right, the counter, this is just like a Subway. Picture a Subway and the people standing behind the counter, and you select the toppings you want on your mini donuts. It's kind of expensive, but kind of cool too at the same thing. There's not too much seating there, but there are seats around outside if you go there. But it's worth at least one trip for coffee and donuts to Bros Doughs. Anything else, Chit, you want to say about that?
It was a little bit it's a little bit hype at the beginning, because we have to go there twice because the first time.
Well, when they first opened, this is a very new place. So the first time we went there was a line out the door, and we don't have that much patience on Saturday morning, so we just we'll go to the next nearest place. But it did, yeah. We had to go back a few times before the opening crowd thinned out enough to.
Somebody says letter is not an option. Yeah, definitely not. They're like a Subway for diabetes, but.
Yes. So I did mention Darts, and Darts closed. Darts was in East Town, and the reason I want to bring this up is because this donut shop now is an attempt to sort of mimic the coffee shop look, the modern coffee shop look. You have, exposed brick. You have reused wood, rehabilitated wood, whatever. And so you see the inside of Darts looks like this. And this is to get to, I guess, the next thing we want to point out is that after we started going to a number of places, we discovered that there was a very similar look to them. And so this is stovetop, And we'll just go through, this is Wild Roast. This is in Chicago Drive. So again, you're looking at exposed brick, lots of wood. You have a big front window all the time with a counter and people sitting right at the counter. Oh, the drop lights, right? All the time you have these old fashioned, industrial looking drop lights. This is not corridor. I'm messed up there, but anyway. So at first I just gave this the nickname of Wealthy Street Chic because most of these places were either on Wealthy or Fulton, you know, sort of the East Town area. But actually, after some research, discovering that this is called Brooklyn style, and it's all over the world. You could go to a coffee shop, you know, in Berlin or Busan or, you know, Buenos Aires, and they all follow this. And the theory is that this comes from Instagram, right? That people Instagram these pictures and young people all over the world see them and then they start looking for this aesthetic, right? And so it's become very universal. So usually you get, you know, the coffee is usually pretty expensive, although you have always lots of choices. Some places will do their own roasting, right? So I think Wild Roast does, and I think Stovetop Coffee Roaster obviously does. So a lot of them are roasting their own coffee, but the problem is that they're very, very much the same, you know. Chit?
Oh yeah, we the way we go there is like part of our tradition. We don't repeat. Yeah, every time we go to coffee shop, so only go once to the each coffee shop. But once we hit to the Wealthy Street coffee shop, we've been like, even though we got different places, we feel like we the same because they are mimicking each other in terms of the setup, and that is the preference of the people around there. I think how try to, you know, validate that this kind of setup is something that you can overcharge or something. So even though
So,
we don't repeat it, it's kind of deja vu every time we go there again and again. I mean, different place.
exactly. Like, have we been here before? You know, that's the kind of feeling, you know. So, and one time, actually, we were, it just was under a different name. But anyway, so some of them will have try to distinguish themselves somehow. So this one has all these news magazines. As I said, that's the wrong picture. Mud Penny, just wanted, this is on Granville, pretty close to downtown. And although mostly we're tired of this look, this was one that kind of impressed us. Mud Penny is really nice coffee shop. And the refurbished, you know, the building is really old. It really was a warehouse of some kind. Um, and and it's there. Not sure what the name of that neighborhood is. Granville, I guess, right? It's just north of downtown, and it's in an area where there isn't any other really retail or anything like that. So it sits by itself. Um, if
Yeah.
you feel guilty about gentrification, they promise that they're 1% of the profits are going to the local community organizations, right? So there you could relieve your gentrification guilt by knowing that, you know, a small amount is going to the local neighborhood. Here's another one. This one is near the CHS building and the GVSU medical campus, right? It's very close to that, and it's brand new construction. But as you can see, they're also, you know, they are trying to do that same look, right? So they try to make it look sort of old and refurbished, even though it's brand new construction.
That is I just want to say that is also a student place. I think, for
Yeah.
the convenience, and they also tend to make like a corner that for people to get their own kind of cubicle feeling, to sturdy on the other side.
Yeah, the other side is it's kind of big actually for a coffee shop. And their counter is on the other side. So it's not, you're gonna say, well, they forgot to put the counter by the window, but it's there, trust me, it's just out of the picture, okay? They did not forget. This one, EB, I assume it's EB, not Ab, but EB Coffee and Pub in Caledonia. And this has that same kind of vibe, adding a little bit of the metal roofing, I guess, materials embedded into it. But the reason what's a little different here is there's another, besides the Brooklyn style, there's another coffee trend going on, not too big yet in Grand Rapids, but there are some, which we'll see, and that is the coffee and cocktails. And that is the idea that you would have a bar, serving alcohol at night, but you want to use the space all day, right? So yes, there's a few people that will come to the bar even at 9 o'clock in the morning, but okay, to get more people coming, they turn it into a coffee house, right, during the day, and then it's a bar at night. So this one is a brew pub, so they're brewing their own beer, but in the morning, right, it's a coffee house. And it looks kind of like old construction, but it's not. It's in a relatively new shopping strip in Caledonia. So another one, I don't know if it's still open or not, but in the Creston Brewery on Plainfield, I think a third party came in and rented the space to open Boop de Boom Coffee Lounge in Creston Brewery. So you can have coffee there in the morning. And just whenever you want to say anything, just go ahead. This one, 205 Coffee Bar. This is in Holland. They serve only really fancy drinks, like, alcoholic kombuchas, that kind of thing. But it also is interesting that, at least in my observation, most Grand Rapids coffee shops are pretty small, but Holland, the coffee shops are like 3 times as big. Almost all the ones we visited in Holland were very big coffee shops. And this is one, right, with these garage doors right in front that open up, so it could be, open air when the weather's nice.
But we've been there a couple of times, different coffee places in Holland. The consumer habit around there is they don't just come by and go back. They spend time there in the morning, because when we were there, we just planned to stick around for a moment. But a lot of people come there and spend their time at the coffee bar. That make a reason for them to get a bigger venue.
Yeah, in other words, it's, yes, definitely a hangout place. And most of those in Holland were like that. They were big and a lot of people hanging out, and not necessarily like in Grand Rapids. All the people hanging out in Grand Rapids tended to be on their laptops, right? Sitting with their little apples open and, and typing away. The Holland ones were not so much like that. A lot of people hanging out, but a lot more interaction, right? People there together, talking, stuff like that. This one is in Grand Rapids, Squib Coffee and Wine Bar. So there again, you could see the Brooklyn style, counter, wood. I don't see the exposed brick, but there it is. They put it underneath the counter. And so they do the wine in the evening and then coffee in the morning. But a very typical Brooklyn style layout. And that one is on Wealthy Street, yeah. Cafe Merton's, which used to just be called the New Hotel Merton's Bakery, but they're sort of they're doing a name change there because people are confused by the fact that it was called the New Hotel Merton's, but it wasn't a hotel anymore. It's an historic hotel. And it really is very nice. I mean, the upscale bakery is there, very, lots of croissant, European style things. And the place is big because in the evening, right, it's a French restaurant, right? But in the morning there, you could go, you can get your pastry, and then you could go sit in their dining room or take it out. But definitely a good experience, I would say. If you want upscale French pastry and you want to sit in an elegant dining room, this is the place to go. Which brings us then to other places where you could get fancy French pastries. So Field and Fire, okay, on Monroe, another really, really excellent place for fancy pastries and coffee. From Chit's point of view, I'm sure he's going to say there's no good deals here, right? This is all you're paying, for everything you get. But it's really, I mean, everything at least we had was very good, right? So you just.
But they have the best croissant in the town.
Okay, so if you're after the croissant, go here, Field and Fire. The only thing, it is busy. So at least pre-COVID, it was hard to find it. We were able to get a seat, but I do think that it is crowded. And so the advantage of the Hotel Merton, which is, by the way, that is in downtown, the advantage is much bigger. So you will get a seat, whereas here it might be tougher to get a seat. But the bakery is fantastic.
You can even you want to see how they make it. They let you see with a glass wall.
Oh yes, yeah.
You see that.
So like Krispy Kreme, where you can see them making the donuts in the back, you can see them making the bakery in the back at Field and Fire. Hall Street Bakery, many of you are probably familiar with the very famous Wealthy Street Bakery. This is its cousin, the Hall Street Bakery, similar type bakery, upscale, very nice. You are in, a neighborhood, right? Unlike Wealthy Street, this is much more, you're in a residential neighborhood. So again, if you feel guilty about gentrification, don't go here. You'll feel very guilty because you'll look out and you'll wonder if any of the neighbors of this place can afford to eat here. And the answer is probably no. But it is a nice aesthetic.
They have a good cupcake there.
At here, cupcake. Okay.
Hall Street.
Well, yeah, Hall Street. Okay. Now, if you really, really want your European fix, though, I think the Paris Cafe on 28th Street is the place to go. Okay, it's a very nondescript strip mall. From the outside, it looks, very ordinary, nothing special. But inside is very fantastic. Now, it's the owners are Bosnian, and they have tried as well. The Europeanness, they have several different kinds of baklava, rum balls, very, European style pastry. I mean, I think it is the place. Both Chit and I often go back here if you're going to a party, right? And you want to impress people with bakery.
We found out in our morning tradition, but later we see that it's because they open and they serve the same desserts option for the dinner time. So sometimes we stop by there if we have some dinner party somewhere. But for me, I would call it, this is like a bang for the bucks desserts place, because with the quality and what you pay for, totally worth it. Especially the rum ball. The rum balls are the bomb.
Okay. So So Mr. Good Deal says this is not really overpaying, right? So
Yeah.
take it that this is a good place. Now, the thing is that I don't believe that there's any really outdoor seating. So while the inside is very European, right? If you really want the European experience, right, you need to be outside, right? You need to be sitting at a table outside. So is there a place in Grand Rapids where you can legitimately believe that you are somewhere in Europe? And the answer is yes, there is. And it's also courtesy of oh, well, I jumped ahead. So let me go to here. Okay. The answer is yes, also courtesy of some Bosnians. And this is on Schaefer Road. And they only have coffee here. They don't have any food whatsoever. And if you go here, there will be about 20 Bosnian males, all males, no women. They will be sitting outside. They will be smoking like chimneys, yelling at each other in Bosnian. And you will be the only non-Bosnian there. But yes, it will make you definitely believe you are no longer in Grand Rapids. So anything, Chit, you want to add?
Something along that coffee, but there is a Bosnian grocery that has a very good
Right.
pistachio cannolis.
Yes. And so that's exactly where I was going to go. So just 2 doors away, there's another Bosnian run place, Al Boss Bakery. Okay. And they have a restaurant next to it. And the bakery, now it's not up to the level of the Paris Cafe, but it's nice. And you could also get meats there and other things. But the cannoli, the pistachio cannolis, right, are fantastic. So what I would recommend is you go here and you can walk. It's connected to the restaurant, same owners. So you go, you get your pastry, you walk, and then you get your coffee. Excuse me. And you could get the coffee. You could get the tiny little cups with the super strong coffee, just like in Europe, and eat your cannolis. Excuse me. So that's what I would recommend. And if you really want the experience, you just walk 2 doors down, right? And you could go back here and you could eat your pastry here. But apparently the Bosnians do not mix their pastry and their coffee while they're sitting outside. But they're very close together. Just one establishment between that separates these 2 places. So it's yes, very, very interesting. And both places we could say are worth the experience. Keeping on this same theme, now here's one, excuse me, that really appeals to, Mr. Good Deal over here, because this is the only free coffee, right? Absolutely free. So this is a grocery store, Mediterranean island. It is a very large ethnic grocery store. They they do lots of foods, Arab countries, Italian Balkan countries, the Mediterranean, right? Lebanese. So it's and in the corner, you can't see it here, but back behind in that corner, there's 2 or 3 little tables, and they do have free coffee. So you could, what did we get, Chet? Samosas?
Oh yeah, like something like that. Yeah, samosa or some, I don't know. It's like a Mediterranean pit blanket type thing. It's beef inside.
So anyway, so this is our one free coffee trip. I think there are other grocery stores that might offer free coffee, but this is our only grocery store coffee stop. Continuing then on this ethnic theme, Mayan Buzz. This is sort of across the street from Founders, right, in that area on Granville Avenue. So it is a Brooklyn style. They have a Honduran theme, Honduran coffee. And the thing to watch out for is that when they say something is Mayan, or is that right? Was that the word they use? It means it has chili powder in it. Okay, so warning, fair warning, be careful, okay, what you order. If you're not into chili powder, okay, on your stuff, just watch for their menu there and make sure you don't order something that you're going to regret. Chit's left his post. Bellman's is a Mexican bakery on Chicago Drive. And it's actually quite good bakery. They have just 3 or 4 tables, right? Most people are coming there and getting the bakery to go, but you could get your coffee and bakery and have it there. And the one thing to warn you about this is, well, you remember, from the Seinfeld episode, right? The soup Nazi, where they had to, well, okay, they have a long counter, but unlike other places where it's people sort of go up to the counter and they sort of say, who's next? Here, you have to queue in line. If you don't queue, they won't serve you. So you go in the door and you stand in the queue, and they serve the people one at a time in the queue. And you break that rule, right? You won't get served. So just a fair warning that's their rule. There's no sign that says that. You have to go in and you have to figure it out for yourself. That's how it works. But it's not a bad place, and it seems to be very popular. There was a long line. We were the only ones, I think, eating there. Is that right, Chet? We were the only ones who stayed. Yeah. And had the coffee there, but it was very busy. People were coming in for long line for coming in for bakery.
I mean, maybe we take it like a special treat for a birthday or something. They have a order as you order, they make a birthday cake and special order.
Okay.
Got a lot of them.
So so now the question, we've seen European style, and we've seen the Mexican style. What about Asian? Is there Asian friendly bakeries to go to? So Cindy's Donuts and Ice Cream. This used to be a Baskin Robbins, and it's now run by sorry, are they Vietnamese, Chit, or are they?
Yes, the two Vietnamese.
But as far as the menu goes, it's standard donuts and ice cream. The Chit complains that everything is glazed, no powdered donuts, right? They glaze every donut, and he likes the powdered donuts. But other than that, it's very good, right? Very good. But the service is a little bit different. Maybe Chit, you could explain how they, when you order,
they they make a stress selling type thing. They make you take more and more. Like, as you got enough, but they acting like there's not enough in the box. They make you feel more. Anything. And every time you go there, you come out and then we'll buy at least 1 dozen.
They don't accept the fact that if you say you want 2, that they won't accept that as possible. You must want at least 4. Okay, so they will push the extras on you in a sort of bartering type of way, and they also tend to repeat, right? When you say, like, if you say you want a glazed cruller, they will repeat glazed cruller.
Yeah. That is a signature. Like, if you point something and mention you want bear claw, and they would say after you, bear claw. So it's kind of cheering, to get.
Yeah, like yes, yeah, cheering you on for ordering the bear claw. So, so anyway, Cindy's also very, very nice donut shop. They just need to learn to use powdered sugar as well as glaze, right, to balance out the menu. Now, Dutch Delight Bakery, which is in a neighborhood, so it's not downtown, but it's in a strip neighborhood shopping center in Holland. And it's longstanding, and it was Dutch, but it is no longer run by Dutch people. It is also now run by a Vietnamese family. And the reason that I say then it's Asian friendly is because they do have something on the menu that Asians like, and other, it's less common. It's actually the only place we saw in Grand Rapids to get this, and that was Chit. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, I know. That
Pigs in a pigs in a blanket, right?
Yep.
So many Asian bakeries, like if you ever go out of town sometimes, like in New York and that, they have the Peri baguette from Korea. It's very common to bake sausages or hot dogs or things, into buns, right? And so they had that. They had that as an option here. It's the only place we went to that we found that. And here's another one that you wouldn't assume, you wouldn't think about it being Asian at first because Haggerty's, but it's run by a family, and I'm going to make the assumption that the guy is named Haggerty, and his wife is Vietnamese, and they have a daughter who's works the register there. And they have something on the menu that, everyone from Korea and Taiwan and Vietnam and Burma is into, and that is Chit.
What is that?
Come on.
Boba tea.
Yes, bubble tea. Now there are many bubble tea places in Grand Rapids, but normally they're not open so early. This is the only place, if you want bubble tea, like open at a regular coffee shop hour, right, at 8 in the morning or something, that you could go. Otherwise, I think most of them open at 10. So they have a good selection of bubble tea if you are looking for that instead of coffee.
I mean, it's run by family and always, not sure it's because I'm not busy, but always look clean. Like,
yeah, it does.
well,
it was
in the picture, every table all like that is shiny and clean.
Now it could mean they don't have enough business, but this is one of the places that we did 2 trips to, because previously when they were there was different owners, and it was called Deja Brew, and so that is a great name, right? Deja Brew. Okay, but it wasn't very busy, and it was very nothing special about it, right? Very generic, Brooklyn style, no bubble tea at that time, so nothing necessarily to recommend itself when it was Deja Brew. But it brings us to some other places that have interesting names. This one you might have noticed. It's on Fulton, very close to here. Palate. See, and it's because it's art, right? And art. So all the art on the walls is for sale. And so again, a play on words, right? Palette for paint, right? Palate. Drip, very generic. One in Zeeland. Zeeland's a good place, by the way, to go. They have many good. Don't go to Drip unless you just want the Brooklyn style, because it's just a plain Brooklyn style coffee shop, and they have some more interesting ones than Drip if you go to Zeeland. So recommended going to Zeeland, but not necessarily choosing Drip. Sugar Mamas. Sugar Mamas, another great name, right? It's on 28th Street. Chit, when he and Heather bought their house, they bought it specifically to be close to Sugar Mamas, right?
Not necessarily true, but I'm happy to be close to it, because they have they very generous in putting butter on every item. So every time you go there, it's so indulgent, like to eat every pastry they made.
And it's one of those that from the outside looks very sketchy, right? From the outside, it doesn't look like someplace you even want to go in. It's got weird colors and stuff like that, but inside it's very nice. and they have a big selection of bakery, right? So you get pies and cakes and cookies, and so very, very nice.
Very good.
And a great another name, Carpe Latte. And where is this? This is in a car dealership, right? So on Chicago Drive in Holland Township, you could buy a car and a cup of coffee at the same time. And again, I was a little skeptical that this would be any good, but it actually wasn't bad. I mean, it was kind of a corporate feel of the furniture, but they had a good selection. The coffee was fine. The woman at the counter was very friendly and nice. But it is actually in a car dealership, and their explanation was that the owner of the car dealership always wanted to run a coffee shop, so she turned a quarter or whatever of the car dealership into a coffee shop. So there it is. A lot of people were coming in for bakery. Not too many other people were staying and eating there, if I recall, just us maybe. But it exceeded its expectations from what it looked like on the outside. Let's put it that way. Cafe Lou. So now we're getting into other odd places, right, where we've had coffee. Cafe Louis.
Yeah, it's a giant coffee cup spinning in front.
A little tacky, yes. But what is it really? What's the main purpose of the building?
It's a laundry.
It's a laundromat. Yes, this is in a laundromat. So again, we were kind of skeptical, but in the end, right, it was very nice. And there's a little fireplace. You can't see it here. And there were a few times when my washing machine was broken, and I went all the way here. This is not close to where I live, but I went here to do my laundry because, I mean, it feels nice, right, to be there. And anyway, and crepes. We had crepes. And with Chit, was this your first crepe in the right? Did you ever had? Yeah, so his very first crepe. So they specialized in crepes. I don't know if they still do, but at the time that was their specialty.
I mean, as when you mention laundromat, the first thing that come to mind like sticky floor and a little bit, a little bit like untidy environment. But that one is radically different. We went there because it's so cozy and make people spend around there reading book or doing your homework, and it's also economically makes sense to get some pastry there available for you as you get comfy waiting for your laundry.
So a few more places, I'll skip through a few. Sweetland Candies. This is a candy shop, right? Most of this is regular candy shop, but they turned a little corner of it into a Brooklyn style coffee shop, so you could go get your candy and eat there. And they also have one in Rockford, which is a little more traditional looking, but this one is on Plainfield. Oh, this one, Wilderness Expressions. Now, this is right near you, Sal, and you might not even know it's there because there's this knickknack store full of woodcraft and stuff like that. And I must have gone by it 1,000 times going between, Grand Valley downtown and Allendale. And I never realized it was a coffee shop, but it is. If you go in the back is a coffee shop. And if you like drinking your coffee surrounded by kind of kitschy knickknacks, I mean, this is the place, right? This is the place. So, so quite interesting. Story Cafe. This one is closed. Was on Leonard Street, and I want to bring it up because this was also a very unusual environment. It was only a coffee shop on weekends, Friday and Saturday. The rest of the week, it was a venue that could be rented out. It was run by a couple who actually wanted to run their ministry or were running their ministry so they wanted meeting space. But the most important, most interesting thing is it's also a used furniture store. So everything here was for sale, right? So the chair you were sitting in, the table you were sitting, you could buy those, as well as your coffee, right? So all the furniture in the store was for sale. Global Infusion, this is East Town. This is a fair trade place, so it's also full of knickknacks, right? But their emphasis is on fair trade coffee. So if you're looking for your fair trade coffee, this would be the place to go, as well as all these other type knickknacks. Tea Trade Cafe. So this gets us into the nonprofits and religious places that are running coffee shops. Tea Trade Cafe is women at risk, right? I think if there's a women's shelter in back, there is a gift store here full of women at risk items that you could buy for sale. And this was the picture I accidentally put in the wrong place. But it's actually quite elegant. I mean, it was the most elegant feeling coffee shop, which was sort of a surprise since it's a nonprofit, but that is, and it's in Wyoming. It's also in a place away from things for the most part. 317, it refers to 317 Ephesians. So this is a religious coffee shop on Chicago. Rise and Grind on Madison. This is a nonprofit, and you can, they train, right, people here to work at coffee shops, right? So it's a nonprofit, and they do training, right, in the coffee shop. And a similar one is in Ada, and this is Bodie Bees, and they have people with learning disabilities that they teach to work in a coffee shop setting.
I think the story is the son of the owner. Yeah, that is what inspired the owner to run and train, give the part-time job for the kids with that condition.
So
he
we're about.
He was there when we went there. Then they introduced us.
Okay. Yes, yeah, we were one of the first customers too. I think we were there when maybe the first week they were open. Because we went to Ada, by the way, as another spot like Zealand, where there's quite a few coffee shops all clustered together, and some interesting ones, including this one, Sprinkles. Since we just got 5 minutes, we will wrap it up. Just trying to say, if I had one place in the small towns, my favorite was Coopersville. And this is the Deli Belly Bakery. There were 3 of us here. This is Chit's ideal place, right? The good deal. This is like, we had 3 pastries, 3 coffees, and it was like $6.
Yeah.
And downtown Coopersville is very interesting. We walked around, and it turns out they had this little museum, which was open on Saturday morning. A very nice older woman ran it, and it's got a lot of train stuff, and a little shrine to Del Shannon. Any of you into 1950s music, right? So Del Shannon apparently was from Coopersville, and so they had this little tribute to Del Shannon in the museum. So this was actually quite a good. I
mean, people still living back in those days, because they preserve all this 19-something theme, and there's some like a simulated classroom asserting the chair and table back from those days, and that museum is there. Everything like back in those days.
Yes, and of course they had one flavor of coffee flavored coffee, right? Nothing else, right? Just the one, you got your cup of coffee and but yeah, $6 and the 3 of us. So anyway, so there's a lot more if you're interested, right? As I say, if you go to the page, the web page, it shows, right? We have the two applications where these things are mapped out, so you can go through them. And click on the spots, and it'll pull up the information about the places. Any marijuana dispensary study? It'll be a while for that one. Yes. Questions, comments?
Mark, did you say that the Deli Belly was your favorite of all?
Jelly
For the
Belly.
small Go ahead, Chit.
Oh, I mean, the reason being is it's not just that we went just for the coffee. It turned out we that give us a good segue for us to explore other things that we won't notice if we just go unless if not not for the coffee.
So right. So it's because of Coopersville. So all the small towns we went to, that was the most fun one. Coopersville, the bakery itself was very good, and so was walking around downtown Coopersville. The other one for a small town one that surprised me was Busy Moms in Cedar Springs, downtown Cedar Springs. Okay, it's relatively new. They actually mill their own wheat. So yeah, exactly. But and they had, what was it? Puppy chow. I never had, but apparently puppy chow is some sort of a Michigan thing to eat. I don't even remember what was in it. Anybody know what's in puppy chow?
I think they put like the cereal, the check wheat or some kind, and then they put some
peanut butter, chocolate, and confectioner sugar.
Yeah.
Okay.
On the check wheat.
So we had some puppy chow with our donuts and coffee when we went there, but
yeah, those the veterans couples, they even donate some free loaves of bread during the COVID, so the neighborhood or something. That was in the news.
Yeah. So I don't know how many we got through. As I say, we wound up with 112 before we were shut down. We could go on. There's still some more, and because of COVID and a lot of the closings, but a lot of them are already opening, right? I mean, and being replaced. So a year from now, right, we could probably do another 100 because so many of them will have changed owners and be new. The corridor near me is just changed owners, so that's gonna be called something else soon.
Yeah, the moral story that made me believe we don't need to like go spend a lot of money to go vacation to get some outlet, because a lot of things to explore around that where we live in now. And also supporting the local business and relatively with low risk, because if you go for dinner, you're gonna spend like close to 100 if you got too fancy, but with a donut, just 10-20 bucks and you got a lot of experience. And that is part of our routine. After we get coffee, we walk around that surroundings and area.
And I just
in Coopersville, you can ride the train.
Yes, you
train
can,
that goes
between
to
Marne and Coopersville.
Yep.
Yes, you can.
Yep.
And I just want to recognize, I just noticed the TW that's visiting us. This is Tomasz, and he was a Polish student who was here 2 years ago or so, and he went with us on maybe two or three Saturday mornings. So he's joining us from somewhere in Warsaw, I think.
Well, Krakow, but yeah.
Okay, Krakow.
But the train is in service, right? It's just like educational or something.
Yes, the train is not so much for, because how many people really want to go between Marne and Coopersville? I think it's more for the experience of riding the train than it is actually on a daily commute between Marne and Coopersville.
Right, they have at Halloween they have a pumpkin train ride, and you get to pick a pumpkin when you get off. It doesn't really stop in Marne; it just goes and comes back. And then for Easter, they used to have, the Easter bunny, and then there were, eggs and that kind of thing. And then I think for a while they were doing like murder mystery type things. But I think with COVID, it's pretty much shut down for the last maybe year and a half. think I froze.
No, you're fine. Okay, well then, thank you everyone for coming, and we enjoyed sharing our experience, and maybe some point a few months from now when things are back opening, we'll do a few more. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing.